But is that sustainable? What are the options for people? Aaron, maybe do you want to take that, and then we'll have a rebuttal from Mandela and others.
Yeah, this cannot be answered directly. What would happen, and that's what has been happening with all the hives. It's quite similar to the way these sometimes these typhoons, they come. Initial announcement is that it would come with 160 kilometers per hour or something, and then it starts fading. The similar thing would happen with this typhoon also. In due course of time, either its shape, size, and name itself would change, and then finally it will land safely. Because there's too much of overlap, cloud computing, and some of the speakers try to cover that. Half of the things cloud-based, then bringing some devices, end-user application, uses. So the way I look at it is right now, okay, it's quite intense with respect to the way it's being introduced in the market. But gradually it would taper down, and finally it might acquire a different name or a different shape. That's how I see it.
Okay. And Mohammed, I think you were keen to talk about this.
Yeah. So I believe BYOD is a technology that we cannot avoid, in my opinion. It might take longer time to be adopted by organizations. However, this is where the technology is heading. If you remember my slides, according to latest statistics, shows that people are more attached to their personal devices than their company-owned devices. It shows that people today are buying more smartphones, tablets, more than buying a regular laptop or desktop PC and so on. So this is where the technology is headed. The only thing that the organization needs to take care of is basically how to secure the environment against adopting something like BYOD. And basically, as I said, some challenges are there, but with the time, these challenges is going to be overcome.
Okay. Well, I mean, you talk about users being more comfortable with their own devices, and that's what we help learn about. I mean, from my own experience, I use my own laptop for work, and I prefer a Mac rather than the PC that my company would give me. But I mean, Aaron, you said that maybe employees aren't quite so productive because maybe it can be distracting, and certainly I'm guilty of checking my Facebook when I work, or maybe not being so focused at work. So where's the balance there?
Yeah, first thing I would like to put the statistics in perspective. I heard it earlier also. This statement really does not hold any logical meaning that users are buying more mobile phones than laptop. The purpose is different. It's like comparing that users are buying more cars than potatoes, something like that. Because the end result is totally different. These are for two different purposes. That's one. Second one is with respect to the user response. I can tell you one from a personal experience. I have a relative there in Chicago. I was there. We stayed with them last month for a month. He works on SAP with PepsiCo. He had a fantastic job offer from GE. Quite a good jump in the salary. SAP, anyway, SAP consultants are paid heavily. Unfortunately, I am not an SAP. So, and then he checked with me. I said, GE is a great company and all that, because whenever GE, I used to remember Jack Welch. He's like, of today's corporate world, he's like guru. So that's the best organization, you must go. Last week he spoke to me. I said, did you join? He said, no. What was the reason? Incidentally, in one of the Diwali parties there, he met some other guys. One of them was an ex-employee of GE, who shared with him that GE does not allow you getting into Hotmail, Facebook, and these type of things during work hour. And this guy, my cousin, he said, that's too restrictive, and I felt suffocated. He let $30,000 go, and said, no, I'll continue with Pepsi. That's one side. Look at the second one. I met many other friends, Dallas and all those places. Majority of them are doing work from home. That's a new concept. Heavily being supported by these type of technologies. It is taking a full cycle now. Now they are saying is that our life is getting worse, work from home, especially in those cases where both husband and wife working, wife invariably going to work in a proper workplace. This guy stays back. First of all, he has to respond to all the mails because now he is extra cautious. At the same time, he also has to receive the phone call from his wife. Can you just put the rice on the cooker? Life has become miserable. So now people have started thinking, since guys known to me are Indians, so they would give more on rice and other things. And I'm a vegetarian, so I took that example. So they are saying that entire life is getting sort of, there's no dividing line when I have to get up, when I have to work and those type of things. So now a majority of a person has started thinking, no, it's not a good idea to work from home. We should rather go to a proper workplace and work there. Thereby you meet other works.
Sorry, can I just ask Joseph a question first? Joseph, would you echo those sentiments? I guess at university you have lecturers and teachers who traditionally they bring a lot of work home with them anyway, so do they find it more useful to be online with their own devices, or do you allow them to do that, or do they just think, okay, we'll do my work hours, I don't want to be bothered at home outside of work? I mean, what's your take on it?
I mean, we got different types of students, different types of faculty. If you look at the younger ones, the undergraduate, they don't want to do any work at home. They want to finish it in school, go home and party all night or whatever they do outside the university. And then we got the postgraduate. Postgraduates classes are happening in the evening, right? So by the time they finish around 9:30, 10. They go home, they want to rest. Okay? They come and meet in the library to do their work. Where does BYOD comes into the picture when it comes to the university? It comes when they started working outside and bringing their device home. From what we experience, and there's no statistics or facts that will support this, but this is what's happening in reality, is they want to connect to the data or they want to get the information where they last left it. Okay? So if they save it on a cloud, for example, their Gmail account, their G Drive, their SkyDrive, their Dropbox, they want to get it from them. Okay? Now this is it has a ripple effect to the admin and the faculty, because that's what the end users are using. So what's happening is like it's developing this non-compliance applications that are running within your organization. Okay? And bottom line is what they need is only internet access. Okay? Now the university, of course, have a records management system. Like what I said, it's not going to leave that vault. It's going to stay there. But what's different is on the students' side, that material that they circulate. So if we look at BYOD in the university, it's a mix of flavor. It's like open to everyone. If they have internet access, they are happy. Customer satisfaction is right there because they have internet access. And this another example that I would take is the internet access that we had from this hotel. I know it's working. I've been to this hotel before. It was working, but today we had an issue, and that's somehow frustrating. It gives you a bit of a worry because my presentation is online. If it's not going to play, there's nothing for me to present. So reliability on the infrastructure is far more important than jumping through investing on product, which is basically limited to mobile devices only.
Mohammed, what's your response to that? Would you say that it's just about instant access?
I have to disagree with the gentleman here. We as HP, my organization, we deploy the BYOD solution basically for employees to access their email. So it depends on the organization niche. For example, I travel a lot. I need to have access to my business email all the time. So instead of my company giving every employee a smartphone or a tablet your own mobile to answer emails. So it depends on the organization and the nature of the business. So it is always good to have this as an option. To have a BYOD solution where you can access your resources from your own devices, and your organization take the necessary measures in order to secure this environment. So it depends, end of the day, of what you want to achieve. For example, the example you give might work, but for me, it's very important to have these features if I want to respond effectively to my customers at a very good time.
Yeah. If I may just add a few points to what's being discussed here. I think if you look at the mobile workers, evolution of the mobile workers, first it all began with just pure communication. And then you have emails. And now it's applications on mobile phones and smartphones and tablets. This is very similar to what we had in late 90s and 2000, early 2000, wherein website was actually one of the most important thing for a company to exist. So right now, if you don't really have, line of business does not really have an application or a mobile presence, you are actually potentially losing business or missing out from competition. Coming back to the question of sustainability, I think there's no denying the fact that it's going to happen for sure, because from its large point of view, one thing is for sure that data, as Arun also mentioned in his presentation, there is a deluge of data and devices that actually acts as a motivation for service providers to provide these solutions. But that's not the only motivation factor for us. We've got more and more enterprises who are seeking solutions from our side, and that compels us to also look at solutions like these. So in its large point of view, yes, we believe that this is going to really go and spearhead into something.
Okay, fair enough. And from what there's a lot of talk about HP has some solutions to BYOD, lots of other vendors too. I mean, what's on the market? And I guess I would ask both our end users as well. I mean, neither of you guys have probably implemented BYOD as far as say Jason has over there at KPMG, but I mean, is there nothing on the market that has really kind of piqued your interest that you think actually that could be an answer to a business needs? Is there nothing out there? And maybe if you want to make some suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, right now, look, it's becoming a commodity more or less. A lot of vendors actually bleeding into the market with different solutions being offered. The only key thing is to understand how you actually can put a value proposition around it and then provide that extra trust and service to the customers. That's exactly what we are actually trying to do. So we are partnered with one of the leading mobile device management providers, AirWatch, and very recently Gitex announced this partnership. If you look at the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, and they are the leaders there. And so through this partnership, we aim to provide MDM solutions to enterprises in the region.
And would that something like that interest you, or you can't make a business case for that kind of technology?
I mean, for the back end, the solution should basically tackle a private space delivered by the organization. Because when we talk about user's choice of device, if I have, let's say, 5 different type of employees, one would use BlackBerry, one would use iPhone, one would use Android, and one would use a PC or a laptop computer. I have to have that mechanism to deliver the same application on all those devices. Not only mobile, not only tablet, it must be delivered on the PC as well. Then the organization is then ready to deliver, to go for, to encourage their employees to bring their own preferred device. Then for me, it will not make sense if I'm going to create different application for each one. Right? Now, this could change because many of the platforms here in UAE are Windows-based. If you guys have seen Windows 8, it's a totally different operating system compared to Windows 7. It has an application store, which is similar to what Google Apps, the Android, and the Apple have, the iStore. If I can have my own UOWD store that will deliver those applications to all those platforms, then that is preferred. The users can now bring their own preferred device.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess as well, it all comes down to cost at the end of the day as well. So, Aaron, you brought 30% more to implement BYOD. As a journalist, I talk to end users and vendors, and more often than not, they say that there's huge cost savings to be made. So where does that extra 30% come from? How does that happen?
That was 33%. I looked at, I think it was a Gartner report. I got the printout of that. I'll come to that. Let me go back to Mohammed. Before you decide it, be aware of three things. Your team is working seriously with me for managed print services. That's a big deal which we are going to. So think again whether it is agree or not. Second one is, I am member of HP Enterprise Advisory Group. And third one, once I had the opportunity to have a dinner with Meg Whiteman, incidentally your CEO. So now I'll give the choice to you. Coming back to the point of discussion as to what solution and all those. See, what I am looking at is the approach which I am seriously considering, and I have started some work. If I get into such things, I will outsource it totally to HP. Not HP per se, any solution provider. So I would have nothing and say this is the requirement, and I have got a workforce who wants to bring anything, and these are my corporate requirements, and this is the SLA. You do whatever, and we'll pay you on the OPEX basis. Nothing I would have. So I am really not bothered looking at what will be the best fit solution, whether it's INC, and there are so many other solutions. So it will be a total outsource, and that's what we are trying to do. Gradually, eventually, in few years' time, the way I am looking at it is I would not even have my own data center, and everything goes to a service provider, and tightly coupled with the SLAs and all those things and business requirements. That's the best deal, because it's easy for the service provider to make presentation, say that everything can be supported. You do it, and then, as they say, what's that in this phrase? Proof is in the pudding, something like that. That's what we're trying to do.
And Pramod, I mean, that's something that Discussion is quite heavily involved in, or becoming more involved in anyways. So is that something you advise customers to go for, if you're totally managed services, outsource everything?
Yeah, I'm very glad that Arun actually mentioned that he's actually considering or looking into the possibility of, having